So, hey everyone, welcome back to the Real-ationships podcast. My name is Ruth. Today on episode 3, we are going to be talking about everything to do with maintaining friendships along with relationships. I'm really excited to be on this episode today with Monica, who you all have been seeing in the street interviews, and also Kavisha. So we're welcoming Kavisha to the podcast today. Kavisha is also a student at MAC and volunteers at SACHA, which is the Sexual Assault Center here in Hamilton, Ontario. So what I thought we would sort of do today is really talk about friendships and relationships and why it's important to have and really maintain those relationships and friendships as we're kind of going through. And sometimes, things arise and it's kind of hard to figure out how to balance the two. So I thought that would be a good topic for us to discuss today. But as we normally like to do, I want to really get to know both of you a bit better, and also too for our audience. So we always have some fun questions that we start with. So I think the first one that I'm going to ask is, if your best friend had to describe you in 3 emojis, what would they be?
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? Okay, probably either the purple heart or the hand heart emoji, because I'm a very sentimental and affectionate person. Probably the talking emoji, because I am a yapper. And then probably also the facepalm emoji, because my life feels like a movie sometimes. I'm just how does all these things happen?
Funny. I feel I can definitely relate to the facepalm and also the heart. I think I would often be the heart and also the crying laughing emoji. I think would definitely be me. Monica, what about you?
I think mine would be the laughing emoji, the face palm, and probably the heart. Definitely.
Right, yeah. Because I think too, there's a lot of different sentimental things that you want to use the heart emoji.
Yeah.
And I also tend to use the smiley one with the kind of rosy cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So maybe another one that I would want to know, and I think this is always one that we've asked on a couple other of the podcasts, is what is one song that instantly puts you in a good mood? No matter what it is, you can listen to it and you're just, brightens up your day.
I feel it has to be anything with Afro beats or just a nice beat, or even Good Days by SZA, just something to lift up my spirits a bit.
Okay.
I would say, anything that's soca, dance hall chutney, just
Girl.
any of it.
Yes. That definitely is for me too.
I feel disloyal to pick one.
Right. I know, it's funny because I feel not that I would choose a specific song, but anytime I hear soca, I am happy. That just turns everything around. You can't not, and you have to move, right? Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. Cool. So nice to kind of get to know a bit about, I think there's always a rhythm that is there that kind of seems to be across all of us that we that helps us to move, make us feel better. Okay. So I think maybe what I would like to know from you guys is to play a little game called a rapid fire. So I'm going to kind of give you a statement and you tell me if it's true or false and sort of what you think about it. Okay, so this will be basically on friendships and relationships. So the first one is double date with friends, fun or awkward?
Fun, depending on which friend you're going with, but fun.
Generally fun, but it does depend on the friend. So it could be awkward, but it should be fun.
Okay, all right, cool. So what about texting your bestie during a date? Is that rude or relatable?
Relatable, because she has to know what's going on.
Right.
Wow, okay, I would say it depends on the situation, but I would say relatively, if it's a good date, it would be rude because you want to be present with the person. And you should be enjoying your time with them. If you go to the bathroom, okay, you could text quick. But if it's a bad date, then yeah, relatable. But if it's a good date, you shouldn't text your friend just yet.
Okay, so the context matters.
Yeah.
And I think it's also about balancing how much you're using your phone when you're on a date with somebody. And maybe too, that's also not even just for a date. If you are hanging out with your friends, it's really important to be present. And so you want to kind of balance the amount that you're using your phone, right? Okay. So what about your partner should always come before your friends?
I feel like it depends on how long you've known both of them for. So, for example, if you've had like a stronger friendship or longer friendship with your friend, like 10 years or whatever the case may be, and a 1-year relationship, like you need to see obviously your boundaries and where you guys set that.
I would say false, just because it says always. I think that like there's a balance of like you can't like always pick one person over the other, because like having multiple friendships, like just relationships in your life, like family, friends, and a romantic partner is good and like helps keep a balance. So if you're always prioritizing one over the other, you're going to start straining and losing the other relationships. So sometimes prioritize, sometimes the other person. It depends.
Yeah, and I think also too, if one of the people in your life is trying to make you choose,
Yeah, that's not good.
that's not good. That's not good. Okay, so what about this one? If your friend doesn't like your partner, it means they're jealous. True or false?
It depends, I feel like, because it depends on what you told your best friend and what you told your friend. So, say, for example, you guys having, like, issues in your relationship, wherever the case may be, if you're telling them all the negative stuff, that could be, like, that's what they're going off of. But if you're telling them, like, just everything, it could just be them trying to look out for you. But it always depends on the person.
I do think it depends. I don't think it means that they're jealous. Like, I've definitely, like, I think it's really common where, like, we go to our friends when we need something. So, like, sometimes it ends up being the more negative stuff, and they don't get to see the good things. So they're like, okay, obviously this person's terrible. Like, why are you with them? But they don't see the good sometimes. So I don't think it means that they're jealous. I think they are looking out for you. But that's not to say that, like, that doesn't happen. Like, it can and does happen. But I think more often than not, they really just care about you and want you to be, like, in a good relationship.
It's genuinely just us, want to talk to our friends, talking to our girls about, like, oh, he did this, he did that. Like, that's really how it goes.
Right, so sometimes the conversations with friends tend to be when you maybe get a bit frustrated. So then your friend doesn't always, so your friend doesn't always get to hear the balanced perspective of like who the person is that you're with, and then that impacts what they think.
You want to hear you're right. Like, he did that. Like, is he not so wrong for that? Like, you want to be like, yes, don't drop him. Like, that's what you want to hear.
Yeah.
So like, Monica, that I think is like such a great point to ask. Is a good friend somebody that always tells you you're right in that situation? Like, is that really helpful if somebody's always saying to you, oh, yeah, you're right. He's wrong in that situation. What do you think?
I don't think so. I feel like you need a friend who's going to tell you the truth, like, straight up.
Yeah, I feel like honesty is like the most important. I think you need a balance of like if you have like all of your friends just being like, no, like you need somewhere we can be like, I just need to like talk through this sometimes. And like everyone's different. Like I have friends where I'm like, I need a brutal truth right now. I'm gonna go to you guys. If I'm like, I just need some like space to talk through it without judgment and without being like, no, girl, you gotta, right? Then I pick other friends for that. So you gotta know who to go to for what.
Yeah, and I think that's also an important point in terms of, yes, truth is always good, but it's how it's delivered. And it's really sometimes about the message. So in saying that, also too, if you're going to certain friends, what they're going to offer you for your situation, like I think that's important to know too. Based on also the mood that you're in and how you want to receive the information.
Yeah.
Even if it's, it's not something really that you want to hear, but still you want the truth.
Yeah, you don't want to end up going to the wrong person. You're delusional about the situation now because you don't know what to say. Like, you just got told yes. And now it's like,
Okay, so yeah, different friends and also kind of knowing the way that you're sort of giving the information. And I also think that's so important now because I find sometimes even you'll see people comment a lot on social media if they see something. And sometimes the brutal honesty is really done in a way that's meant to sort of tear people down. It's not done in a way that's constructive. So I think even in like, just in our day-to-day now, I think it's, important to always think about, if you are trying to give, maybe not advice, but support your friends, you really have to think about how you're doing it. And if you would receive the message in the same way if it was told to you.
Yeah, I think that's good because, like, also people are different. Like, I know for some of my friends, like, I will speak to them the way that I want to be spoken to because, like, I know we're very similar. We're very, like, emotional. Like, we want to feel like we still have our autonomy in our decision making, that like people aren't going to just tell us what to do, but we can like validate their feelings and like help them work through, ask them good questions to help start and figure it out on their own. And some of my friends are like, I'm gonna be blunt with you.
Yeah.
And like, because they need that and they want that. And also sometimes I need that, right? So like, I think it kind of depends on who you're talking to, even how you deliver it. Like, it's going to be different depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah. So it's kind of like know your friends.
Yeah.
Know your friends
Sure,
and
know
what
your
works for, because but it's true, right? To
Yeah.
know who it is that you're talking to. Okay. So next one, it's normal to spend all of your time with your partner when you first start dating. Is that true or false?
I like struggle with that because I feel like it tends to happen that way.
Yeah.
But I also like struggle with, it's not always a good thing.
Yeah.
So like that one, I don't know if there's a clear like true or false to that one. I think especially like my first relationship, like we spent all of our time. We also like were at the same school. We had classes. We were in like, what else? Like you're always around that person. Where I think my current relationship, like we didn't always spend all the time together because like, you know, I'm in school, like he was doing something else. Like we weren't at the same, like we had to intentionally make time for each other. And honestly, I felt like that worked for me because I was able to like maintain my friendships and like still talk to my family and like everything else while I was doing that, make sure that I wasn't like foregoing everything else in my life just for that. And it like helped me ease it and actually like really assess, because you need time away from that person to be like, how did I feel about that date? Like, let me think it through, versus if you're with them all the time, you don't actually get that time to like process and be like, do I like this person? Or like,
You need space to figure out if
right?
you actually like them.
What about you, Monica?
I agree with her. I feel like, yes, spend time with them as much as you can, but at the same time, it's like, if you're hanging out consistently every single day for like 2 weeks, it's like, wait, do I really like you? Or do I just like the fact that we're hanging out and like, you know, my meal's paid for? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, what do you really, that's really it. Like,
And I think too, it's true. Like if you're at school with somebody, you're spending a lot of the time with them anyways because you're seeing them day to day at school. So I think it is, I guess it also depends. And I think it's also normal when you're getting to know somebody and you're interested in that person.
You
that
want to spend time
you want
with
to,
them.
yeah, you want to
Like,
spend time with them. You're getting to know.
I don't think there's
that
a balance.
Yeah.
Like there's a like, you should like, it's ideal to like spend some time to like get to know that person. You also want to, but you still can't like neglect everything else. So there's like, it can't be all of your time with that person.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what about this one? Good friends will automatically understand if you stop hanging out as much once you're in a relationship.
I feel like back to like the point earlier, it really just depends on how long you guys have been together. Same with your friendship. It doesn't make them a bad friend if they don't understand that. I feel like, again, what you tell them. So if they don't like the person, obviously they're gonna be more, oh no, whatever. But if they like the person and he's good to you, obviously they're gonna understand it. So it just really depends on how the relationship's going.
I don't think they're supposed to automatically understand. I think that like there needs to be like a communication bit. I think for me, where like in my first relationship, I was the person who like spent all the time with my partner, and my best friend who I'd known since like grade 4 was like, girl, I don't see you anymore. And I was like, crap. And I was like, but she doesn't get it, right? And I want to be the one to like spend time with him. She doesn't get it. Like, and she hadn't been in a relationship at this point. But I was like, no, like if she needs more time, like, yeah, you know what? I'm sorry. I need to balance my time a bit more. And started to like intentionally make some time for us to like spend quality time together. But there's also a balance of like, I think there is like, you kind of know that like, yeah, like someone only has 100% of their time, right? So if they include someone else, they're going to have less time for you objectively, but that shouldn't mean that they barely ever see you or talk to you. Like you should still have quality time, and also quality time outside of speaking about the relationship only, right? So there's a balance. Things will shift and change, and you might not see someone as much. Like if you talk to them every day, it might be like a few times a week now, but you should still like, they shouldn't just automatically be okay with you neglecting the relationship. So yeah.
Yeah, and you know what too? I feel like you brought up a good point there in terms of sometimes I think we just expect people to know or understand when the reality is not everybody is dating.
Yeah.
Not everybody is in a relationship or has had that experience. So it's like you can't expect for necessarily your friends to understand if they themselves haven't had that experience about how to balance it. And I think, yeah, it's good to have a conversation and also to kind of recognize that everybody's at different starting points and even just at different points in their own experiences that, yeah, it's something that really should kind of just be sort of spoken about. And I think given a bit of space that you might not always get the balance right, and that's okay too. It might be something that you kind of have to negotiate with your friends.
Yeah, I've honestly found that as long as you're talking with them and you're trying, that like they're not gonna be mad at you.
Right.
Like they're gonna be like, yeah, that kind of sucked. I'm like, okay, I was really trying. I'm so sorry. They're like, it's okay, but like you're still trying, and like we make up for it, right? Like I think as long as you're able to have that conversation, and like it's hard because sometimes you want to get defensive and be like, but I care about like my partner, and you like you don't get how, right? And like, well, you're not in a relationship right now, so it's different, right? But like.
Effort's just very important on like both parts, I feel.
Yeah, like I think both people need to communicate and like be able to have that conversation without like being like, okay, like we're bringing this up because we care about each other and we want this friendship to last, right? Like we want to make sure we're like friendships and romantic relationships, they have a lot of like the communication, the effort, like all those things are the same, right? They're just like same font, like, or same text, different font type of thing, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Same text, different fonts. So I think with like several of the things we talked about and what I kind of hear from you guys is that balance is really key. And there are some myths, I think, when, we're kind of saying things about this always happens. That's not the case. So it's sort of just thinking through that if we always think about things in one way, it can sort of, mess up or kind of limit what we think to be normal for our friendships. And that just kind of, as you said, Kavisha, like the same effort that you're putting in, it sort of works in both ways.
Yeah.
For both relationships. Okay. So we had some sort of things come in from a couple teens. And so what I thought we would do is I'm going to read to you sort of some of the questions that we got and then see what you guys think about it. Okay. So the first one said, my best friend says I hang out with my boyfriend too much and barely talk to her anymore, but I feel she doesn't understand how happy he makes me. What do I do?
It's balance and effort. I feel like she needs to understand that. Like, if that's her best... I feel like it's balance and effort. So if that's her best friend, I feel like she needs to talk to her about it and be like, this person makes me happy, blah, blah, blah. You guys need to understand that. But in a way, it's also like, if that's your best friend, put some effort, also talk to her too. Because you also just met this boy. So why does he play the biggest part? And she's just cut off and she's just away and pushed away because, you have a boyfriend now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say that, like, I mean, I was in that situation.
I feel like it's common. It happens a lot.
And I think especially with first relationships, it's the hardest because you've never had to be like, let me divide my time. Or like, I've never liked someone like this and been in like this relationship and it's new and it's fun. But I think that I think if your friend, like you guys have such a good relationship, like she's willing to communicate that and bring that up, I think you need to be able to be like, you know what, I'm sorry. I didn't want to make you feel that way. Like, what can we do? Like, let's like plan like a girls' date, right? Like, let's go out this night, just me and you. Let's go together. And like, I found like even sometimes when that happens, like you kind of have to avoid talking too much about your relationship because then they're still going to feel like the time is about the relationship with your partner. If that's all you're talking about, you want to make sure that they still feel like you're investing in their life. Let's talk about the things we normally do, like the music, the whatever, like whatever it is that you guys talk about. Like, go do something that's like time with you guys. That's outside of even talking about that relationship, right? So I still think you need to put in time and like, she might not understand how happy he makes you, but you might not be understanding how like she feels like left alone and like she might feel like kind of abandoned and like you don't care about her. And obviously neither of those things are true, right? But, I think it is trying to balance it and like to the best of your abilities and being kind to each other that like, it's about the effort sometimes, and like it's not always going to go to plan.
Especially if she's like, you're talking to your best friend only about your boyfriend. That's how she's going to feel sad and feel like, okay, she only talks to me when she needs me, or like, she's going to feel like she's not wanted anymore as a friend. Yeah. That's the problem.
Yeah, and I also think too that part of it as well, like I think what you guys are both saying, which is such a good point, that even if you're hanging out with your best friend, or even just your friends in general, they're not going to want to always hear the only thing you talk about is your relationship.
Yeah.
But then also too, being really mindful of ensuring that they're also able to tell you what's going on with them, that you're not monopolizing the conversation or the time talking about your boyfriend. And I guess that even comes back to, whether or not to be on the phone. So if you're hanging out with your friends, but every 2 seconds you're on your phone because your boyfriend's calling,
Yeah.
that too is kind of like you're not really present. And I think that's something that we all have to work on at any time, to always be present in the space that you are with the people that are there.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not easy, and it's not something that like people are gonna be like in an instant be like, "Okay, guys, I got it.
Yeah.
I solved the." the
Yeah.
riddle.
Yeah. So it's kind of ongoing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on to the next question. So the next question was, my friend doesn't like my girlfriend and avoids hanging out when she's around. I feel caught in the middle. How can I keep both relationships?
I feel like that's a communication issue. Like, they need to figure out why the friend doesn't like hanging around the girlfriend, or like, they need to talk about it, because I don't think he has a sense of what's going on. Maybe like his friend seen something, heard something, or what the case may be, but he just is not aware.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Like, context matters. Like, it really does depend. I think, again, the communication thing is like the biggest thing, is like kind of ask and like be able to have that conversations with your friend. Like, hey, like, why don't you? And like, don't like, you need to be open to hearing honestly what they're saying, because like what they're gonna say might not be nice to hear, right? But you don't want to shut them down when like you're telling them, be like, start defending like your girlfriend, right? Like, you just want to be like, okay, let me hear this out, let me figure out. And like sometimes there's a case of like, you know what? I think for right now, like, I'm gonna spend time with you separately and like her separately, and just like with time, like maybe have those conversations with both of them. Like, I really want you guys to get along and be in the same space. Like, you can't expect it to happen right away, but like communicate, figure out what's going on, and like for the time being, maintain them separately, and then try and find a way, if they're both willing and able to kind of like build even some type of like be civil, be like friendly around each other, but they don't have to be best friends either, right?
Yeah,
So
you don't have to be, no, don't do that.
Yeah,
It's not a good mixture.
Yeah. And then also, too, like, I think sometimes when you get into relationships, you sort of have like these rose-colored glasses on,
oh yeah.
that you're not always seeing fully the person who you're with. And sometimes, people looking outside of your relationship can maybe sometimes see things that they maybe don't think are healthy. And so, sometimes if a friend is saying that they don't like your partner, I would really be also like kind of trying to hear what it is that they're saying, because maybe it also could be like a safety issue for you.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's something that they think, we don't really like the way this person is treating you, and you may not see it
Yeah, that's the
in
problem.
that
You're
way.
blinded by love.
Yeah, and I think part of it, like, I think like a lot of times it can be like they're kind of saying or acting or like treating you in ways that like we don't like. Why would you want someone to treat you like that? And like when you do have those rose tinted glasses on, you're just like, you explain everything away. But I think sometimes it is like your friends are the experts on you, not your partner, right? So you might be acting differently now in the relationship. We're like, oh, like we didn't know you would say those things or start acting like that, or like maybe you act differently when you're with your partner, and that's why they don't want to be around. So like being open to the fact that like people do change when they're in relationships, and like you kind of like lean into different parts of you depending on who you're around, because they bring out different parts of you, right? So knowing that sometimes it might just be like, hey, like you're normally this type of person, like you've kind of changed a bit, and like I don't know how to interact with that, right? Like that it could just be something as simple as that, and like just kind of being mindful of like relationships do change a lot sometimes, and like you kind of have to be open to having that conversation, knowing that like it could be anything. So
Kavisha, I think that is such a great point, that sometimes I feel people make it seem like it's a bad thing that, oh, you've changed when you've come into the relationship. But I think it's natural sometimes for that to happen,
Yeah.
because, yeah, you're kind of also exploring different parts of who you are. And I think, too, you're still learning who you are. And so I think that it's also okay to show different parts of you when you are in different relationships with different people. Like, not even just a platonic relationship. Maybe
Yeah.
you being around your friends, you're gonna kind of show different aspects of who you are. And I think sometimes we make that seem as if it's a bad thing or a problem, when I don't think it necessarily is. I think it's more just kind of learning more about who you are. Because there's always this thing I remember, and no, not getting too like, super deep, but there's this person who I love who's called Ian Levezant, and I don't know if anybody knows who that is because I might be aging myself. But anyways, yeah, and so she always says that relationships are sort of a reflection of who you are.
Yeah.
It is a mirror to who you are. So I really like that you sort of said that, yeah, being in relationships with different people, it does bring out different parts of you.
Yeah, I think that's good because then like you kind of like I have friends where I'm like I'm definitely more like let's have intellectually stimulating conversations. Let's go into this whole philosophical debate about something, or like let's just go have fun and go to a concert, or like let's just go sing really terribly and like do stupid things, right? Like you want to be able to have those different parts of you, and like sometimes your friends like might just have a hard time because they're like, but this is who you are, and like change is hard for anyone, regardless of what it is, and sometimes like seeing someone you love, like your friend changing and being like, oh, now our friendship is changing. That can just be a hard adjustment that like, we want to be kind with each other and like as we go through that, but we need to let each other and our friends kind of explore themselves. And sometimes honestly, it can be like maybe you start saying comments that are kind of hurtful that you just to appease your partner because they're kind of like that. And like your friend's like, I'm not cool with that. Right. So sometimes it can maybe not be for the best, but like usually it is. And it's just like us trying to figure out who we are. So yeah, I think it's just like honestly like try and be gentle with each other, and like we're all still trying to figure it out all the time. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. So the next person wrote in to say, when my friend got a new boyfriend, she stopped replying to my texts and only talks about him. I feel left out and kind of ditched.
I feel like
Yeah.
We covered this.
Yeah.
You can go.
Yeah, I feel like same thing as like just try and like communicate to your friend and be like, hey, can we talk? I just like, I think sometimes it's like framing as like, hey, like I feel kind of ditched. Like I feel like since you're not responding to my text as much, I feel like, we're not really as close, versus like, hey, you don't care about me because you're not responding to my text. Like, right? So I feel like always trying to like depersonalize it to the person is probably like the best way to have like a really like honest,
Just
vulnerable
communicate
conversation.
honestly.
Right? And like just try and reach out to her. Obviously, like we can't control her response though, but my assumption, if you guys are friends, you guys care about each other, and hopefully it's like a caring response. But like sometimes it's not. So yeah, just like be mindful of like you could get any response, but like just try and be honest, communicate, and be like, hey, can you just try and respond to my text a little bit more? Like, can we go out and do something like this weekend so that we can have some time together? I've just been feeling a little like I need a bit more time with you. Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree, honestly. We covered this earlier, so honestly, I just feel like maybe your friend feels bummed out. Honestly, just be like, yeah, we can hang out, just have a chat, sit down, catch up a bit. Just don't make you feel left out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like those sort of examples of things to do. And also too, because you also don't know, maybe your friend is going through something, and you might be the person that typically is their like person to go to, and then you're not really as accessible, and then then they're going through something and maybe doesn't quite know how to address it.
Especially if they're going from the stage from being your best friend to your friend because you have a boyfriend now, and so like obviously they're hurt, so it's understandable.
And so interesting, Monica. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So do you think if you have a boyfriend or like a partner or whatever, that a best friend moves from their like, let's say, status or position as a best friend to a friend?
Honestly, I always hear like the saying like, "Oh, your partner's your best friend."
Oh.
So I feel like that's what plays because you tell them everything, you see them so
Can you have more than one best friend?
Can you have more than one?
So-
But at the same time, it's how you balance it and it's how
Yeah.
you see it. Do you want like your boyfriend, you're only your best friend, or do you want a best friend? Because at the end of the day, if you're like not really, communicating with your friend like that, then that's basically your best friend, your boyfriend is. So your friend is just your friend. And that's how they're gonna see themselves to you as well, because that's how you're treating them.
Interesting. Yeah, I do feel like it depends because, like, for me, I have my partner, and like I am very much like I think your partner should be your best friend. I just think you guys care about when you have friendship built in, like you guys care about each other on a different level. And like that's to say that like I used to think you could only like start as friends to get there. I was in a relationship where like, oh, we built friendship in, and like that's so cool. Like we didn't have to start as friends, and like that is possible. But I also have 2 best friends that I like talk to every day or every other day, and like neither of them are unfortunately in the same city as me, so we call a lot, a lot.
It's communication, see? Like,
Yeah.
you guys still have it.
I'm like, hey, I'm walking home. Let's chat. Or like, I'm gonna wash my dishes. Let's talk. Yeah, but then like I have other friends who like I think it kind of ebbs and flows too. Like I feel like it's good to have like 1 or 2 like best friends outside of your partner. That's like best friend, right? Like your partner, I feel like again should be your best friend. Also not the case with some relationships, but like 1 to 2 close best friends outside of your romantic partner, I think is like a good like you want to have that balance. And like I feel like sometimes we put so much on our partners, like you have to be everything, and like they can't. No one can be everything all the time,
like,
right?
having a conversation with your girls and your boyfriend's not the same.
Right.
It's never gonna be
right.
the same.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I think it was interesting. I was actually like, as soon as I was like, I hope Ruth says something about this because like that was so interesting.
No,
Yeah, because I also think too, whereas I do think your partner should be a good friend. I mean, I have my girls. You know what I mean? And my girls, through thick and thin, they are there. And so those, I would say, are my best friends. Not to say that my partner also can't be a great friend, because you want your partner to, and also too, I'm like at a different stage. So I'm also thinking life partner, right? But I would still think that my, I would also think that my friends, those are my best friends. And those are friends that, you know, I think even in terms of, sometimes people think, oh, like, you know, we always try on relationships and they don't always work out, but like friendships can last through different seasons of your life, right? So yeah, that's why I think it's interesting. I think that there's definitely the perspective that your partner should be your best friend, and in many ways, your partner sometimes becomes the closest person to you because you're doing so many things together. But I still think it's also important to have those good girl or guy friends.
Because those best friends, like they become your family at some point too.
What?
One of my
For sure.
best friends, I've known her again since grade 4, and I'm like, she's basically my sister. She comes to family stuff with us all the time.
Yeah.
Like she's definitely not going anywhere. So
yeah, like, and it's funny because even like we were talking before we started, and I was saying to you guys that, yeah, like my day ones are from high school. These are my close friends, and those are friendships of, you know, probably 30 years or so. Okay, so next one. Oh, no, wait. Oh, yeah. Okay, so now we're going to go to this one. Okay, so my boyfriend says he doesn't like me hanging out with my guy friends anymore. I don't want drama, but I also don't want to lose my friends. And I think this was something that somebody wants to talk about in the audience.
First?
But yeah. So what do you guys think about this? Because I think this is a situation, like, yeah, this was written in, but I think this happens quite frequently.
I have such strong feelings about this.
Okay.
You go first.
I feel like I don't really know how to like say my heart on this. Okay, so I feel like you have a boyfriend, correct? Yes. You have guy friends, correct? Me personally, I've had guy friends for like I've known since I was like little. Like those are my friends. Like my brothers, I grew up with all of them, you know? Mm-hmm. So I feel like if you have a boyfriend, like he needs to understand like those are like it also plays a part of like insecurity in a way. Like I feel like if you're already like my boyfriend, like what is like, you know, them, what makes you feel insecure about me being friends with them? Like, do you feel, I don't know what's the word I'm trying to say, like, I don't know, like threatened by them in a way? Like, you know, like what makes you feel that way? I don't know what I'm trying to say really, but heavy on that. Like,
it's something that you've like actually experienced.
yeah,
You
like
have, a lot of friends that are guys. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also kind of have like a balance in terms of like my friends. And when I met my current partner, I was like, yeah, so I have guy friends. I also tell all of my friends that I love them like all the time, including my guy friends. So you need to be okay with that. And he was like, oh, okay. And I think it took him a minute, but he was like, okay. And he's fine like with it. But I was like, yeah, like I'm not, especially when I'm just meeting you, it's like 2-3 months in. Like, why am I going to prioritize you over like years and years long friendships, right? So like, and even sometimes like relationships and friendships ebbs and flow, but like yeah, I'm not compromising on my friendships because you don't feel okay with it. Like, let's talk about it and see why. Like, I want to give you reassurance. I want to make you feel better. Like, just hanging out with them in group settings help you feel a bit more comfortable. You can start kind of like getting to know them, be friendly with them, things like that. But I think that like in a general, like your partner shouldn't control who you hang out with and who you not, unless there's like, safety concerns or like things like that. I think on a general, like you should be able to maintain your friendships regardless of gender. I think the only time I feel like that has come up as an exception is like when past feelings have been involved with a certain friend. I think that's where
That's when boundaries, okay, I understand. can
that's
be,
where those things come in, where it's like,
But that's genuinely my friend, and like you really
Yeah,
have no
right.
reasoning based off. Oh, I think he likes you, or blah blah blah. Like you don't have like an actual reasoning, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, a couple things that you guys said there that's important in terms of ensuring that there's like the boundaries in terms of your partner can't be really telling you who you can and cannot hang out with, regardless of the gender of your partner and your friends. And then just also to the fact of making it very clear who it is, the boundaries that are there, that there was no past feelings involved, that maybe things went beyond, a friendship. I think that maybe too is what people get worried about. And in that case, then not, I think that can get complicated because I think you can still be friends with an ex after a while.
Yeah.
But but I think that it has to be fully disclosed and it needs to be spoken about in the relationship.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Monica, because you wanted to jump in there.
Honestly, I feel like it depends. Like,
Yeah.
do you think the ex still has feelings for you potentially? Because at the end of the day, like the feelings were once upon a time there.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you think that once like it would ever come back, or you'd be like, oh, I'm just waiting for her to like finish with this guy. Or I'm just waiting. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, honestly, in the way like the boyfriend could be correct because he could still, because they're both guys. They know how guys are. So it's honestly just how he sees it.
I feel like the more time that like, for example, I think my first relationship ended like very, very end of high school. I'm in university now. So like honestly, like I've finally like fully detached from that after like honestly it probably took me like a good many years. But like I would be friendly with my ex. Like if I saw him, I'd be like, hey, like how are you? Like I wouldn't mind like going out, hanging out like here and there, but I would not let myself get very close to him or like be like a friend with him because like I know that was like a lot for me. But I think that like I've seen where like when years have elapsed and you've had like no contact for a while, like
Right.
I think then you can kind of be like, okay, like we can be friends again, right? Like, but I think again it needs to be like both of you understand and there's no like other intent behind it, right?
Right.
But yeah, I honestly like I feel like just be honest. Like my partner asked me really early on, like, have you had like anything like beyond friendships happen with any of your friends? And like he had disclosed some stuff that happened with one of his friends to me. Like, and we talked about it, and like he's still friends with her, and I'm like, okay, as long as I like know her name and you tell me when you're gonna go hang out with her, I don't really care. And it was like 3 years before we started seeing each other, so I was like, cool. Like I trust you. By extension, I trust your friend. And like as long as you're like being honest with me and like giving me some reassurance if I like kind of get in my feels, then we're chilling.
It's heavy on trust, honestly.
Yeah,
It's heavy
right.
on
It's a trust thing.
It is, right? So I think that, that's really kind of, I think, a good example in terms of it is about building that trust, being honest, respecting the fact of what, your partner is also saying and sort of recognizing their feelings on it. But then also sort of, I think, coming to an understanding that if you two are in a relationship, there's nothing that needs to be worried about if it's, just a friend. And I think, being open for everybody to kind of get to also know each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I think like that was great in terms of some of the things that we were able to talk about. And I think, again, things that I keep hearing coming up is that the importance of communication, and that sometimes it's difficult. You can't really have like a broad brush stroke for every situation.
Yeah.
It's really more about kind of working it through as it happens. Okay, so I want to kind of move into another sort of game, and this is the part where we play red flag, green flag. So you guys each have red flags, and I'm going to read sort of a scenario, And then you guys let me know if it is a red flag, or if it's a green flag, then you just don't have to put up your flag, and then we can talk about it.
Cool.
Okay, so the first one is your partner pressures you to choose them over your friends. So everybody's has a red flag up. Okay, so let's talk about why. Who wants to go first? It's funny because I'm like, we also have people here, and I would love to hear from anybody here if they want to come up and
Does
say.
everyone have like anything to say about this?
Yeah, about why your partner pressures you to choose them over your friends. Does anybody want to? Well, why don't we start on the panel? If anybody wants to
you
jump
wanna go?
in.
You want me to go?
You guys are more than welcome to chat, to talk if you want to, yeah.
I would say because like it does feel kind of like this like control aspect of things, which like not great in like any relationship. But like you shouldn't really be pressuring someone. Like I think there's a difference between like, hey, like I am feeling some types of ways about you hanging out with these people, like your friends and like whatever, and having that conversation, you know, being honest, reassurance, all the things. But like I don't think you should pressure someone to make a decision because that's like coercive. That's not actually like being able to make an informed like decision or consent on whatever
forcing them
decision.
to do it.
Right? Like any type of control, force, coercion, like not it.
Cut
like,
it off.
Regardless of what context it is, like no. Just no.
No, the second you're feeling pressure, just cut it off because it can go as far as you don't even know what. So just leave it be.
They should respect you enough and care about you enough to let you like to trust you and make your own decisions.
Exactly.
And I think raising an issue is good, but not trying to persuade or force someone like controlling their actions. You really can't control your partner's responses or like what they do. You can just like communicate about it.
Put your input, but full control is like that's too much. It's too far.
Yeah, and it kind of makes, like, when I sort of read that, I also think that's concerning because then the person is also maybe trying to, like, sort of isolate you.
Yeah, that was my next thing.
Yeah, so, and you don't want to be isolated from, you know, people who are able to support you, from, you know, your friends and your family. So if anybody is pressuring you to choose them, and I think, you know, this is sort of like, it's, I think, pretty obvious, but I think it's also important to talk about the ways that you might feel that pressure and not realize you're being pressured.
Yeah.
So kind of like if you're, you know, maybe you're wanting to go somewhere and your partner says, oh, but, you know, I was really hoping that you would come with me, and I don't really think you should go with them because we were supposed to, you know.
Or
you
like
know.
I want to spend time with you. Like, yeah, I think that's like a big thing too, because like small things, like it's still sometimes it can feel like they're testing the waters, especially early on. Like, what can they get away with sometimes? And like you don't, intentional or not, like you don't want to be with someone who's like willing to try and persuade you to do what they want. Or like kind of guilt trip you or anything, or like pressure you to be like, oh, but like I really want us to go here. Like let's go here, and like not actually hear you out. Like they should respect and like value your opinion and your input, and like you should be partnership making those decisions together, right? So
Yeah, so I think it's like it's really important to also pay attention to the small things, and I think also patterns. So if it's something like, you know, I don't know, you were supposed to go to a football game and you had made the plan to go to the football game, and your partner's like, oh, and you change your mind and say you don't want to go. It's like, okay, fine. And maybe the person might be disappointed because they had the plan with you. I think that's a bit different than if somebody consistently is always kind of saying, oh, but you were supposed to do this and you're not doing it, or I think we should go here, or, you know.
That's the thing. I think feelings are valid. Like you're allowed to have your feelings.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that like your responses, your thoughts or behaviors or what you say to someone else is valid, right? So like, yeah, I can feel disappointed, but that doesn't mean I'm allowed to come and like get upset with you, blame you, or try and pressure you to do something else because now I feel terrible, right?
Exactly.
Like, so emotions are valid, but you got to be careful with how you respond to them.
Yep. Anything?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. So what about your best friend respects your relationship, but also checks in to make sure you're okay?
Green flag. Green flag.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why. Why do you think it's a green flag?
Because she respects your relationship. Like it's not like she's telling you, oh, don't do that. Like she's understanding, and she's just checking to make sure you're okay. Like so, you guys are still having that. And back to what we were saying earlier, like that's what you guys need, communication. You know.
Yeah, it's just like that balance. Like checking, like being respectful of someone's relationship, but like still checking in, like still putting in the effort into that friendship and still showing care and like, right? Like I think it is that balance.
Yeah. Okay. I agree on that. Okay. So what about your partner makes fun of your friends or calls them a bad influence?
Red flag.
Glad we all agree on
Everybody
this.
has red flags
Red
up.
flag.
Okay. So why? Why do you think?
I mean, like your friends are people who are like that you care about. Like they're important people to you, and like hearing anyone say anything bad about them is not great. Just as much as you wouldn't want to, like, it doesn't feel great to hear someone say something bad about your partner, right? Like sometimes I feel like friends have been around so long, like they kind of are like family. Like you wouldn't, like, would your partner like talk bad about your family to you? That like if you had a good relationship with them, mind you, but like, right?
It might happen.
Right? Like I think they shouldn't necessarily, like there's a difference between like, hey, like I don't feel like I'm getting along with your friends, or I don't feel like they like me, or like, hey, like this is kind of concerning, like bringing something again up, and like it's how you communicate those things versus like saying, oh, they're a bad influence and like calling them names and stuff. Like I think
You don't want to hear like your people's being down talked the whole entire time. Like obviously it's like it's frustrating. Just straight anger out of you if hearing that.
yeah, and I think there's a difference between like friendly, like teasing each other, especially like people like in group settings can kind of just like vibe off each other. That's different than like genuinely calling someone names to be like they're bad influence, you shouldn't be around them. I think that can go into the like you shouldn't be around them and like try and isolate you from your friends. So
Especially that with like no reasoning. Like, oh,
Yeah.
there's just no reasoning why. So it's like obviously.
yeah, I feel like they need to like provide a valid reason, right? Like if they can like justify, be like, hey, I feel like I'm kind of worried about you hanging around your friend, like these specific friends, because I feel like they're kind of a bad influence because of X, Y, and Z. Like hear them out because maybe, probably on a smaller chance, it might be a valid thing that they're actually just care about you. But I think for the most part, like if they've been your friends, usually they're not going to be a bad influence on you. So
Yeah, and I think I like that you said that because I was thinking when I was reading it, or calls them a bad influence, like what if they might be? What if there's things that are happening that are unhealthy? So I think, the way that you're saying, if they're able to say this is the reason why, or these are the things that I see that you guys are doing as a friend group, that maybe it's not the best idea.
Yeah, but I think that's a different thing of like calling them names and be like, they're
Yes,
not
because you
Yes.
understanding like, oh my god, like let's go out, these guys, okay, that understandable. But if you have no valid reason to why you're saying that, then it's like, okay, why are you saying that,
Yeah. Again, I think it's like how you communicate, being like, hey, like I feel like they're a bad influence because X, Y, and Z, or like they're X, Y, and Z, da 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 da, and they're a bad influence. Like,
Yeah.
but that's two different things.
Yeah.
Again, like what did you see to make her a bad influence? Like
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what about your friend tells you honestly if they see concerning behavior from your partner? Yeah.
Green flag. Green flag.
green flag.
Yeah. I mean, I think that that's pretty self-explanatory
Yeah.
in terms of, you're being honest about what you're seeing. You're explaining kind of like what we had said before.
It's hard though when you have rose-tinted glass on. Sometimes you might feel like, oh, this person doesn't like me, or like they just don't want me to be happy. Like I think that kind of is the thing where like people perceive as that. But yeah, like you should want your friends to be honest and be like, hey, this is concerning, because like they're just really trying to look out for you and your safety, right? Like,
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, I agree. I think, in terms of sometimes, it's good to have that outside perspective.
Yeah.
Because again, you don't always see everything when you're in a relationship. But again, I think that there is a certain balance, and it's something that you kind of have to work through
Yeah.
to kind of understand if it's maybe gone a bit too far.
Yeah, I'm blinded by love.
Right? Okay. So, so I think like that was pretty good in terms of like talking about red flags, but also green flags. But then I think sort of some of the main things is that, like your relationships, even if it's friendships or romantic relationships, it should never make you feel controlled or isolated.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're kind of at the point now where we have an open mic. And the open mic is an opportunity for anybody in our live audience to come up to the podcast and sort of talk about something or ask something, and we kind of talk about it together. So I thought that we did have one person that did want to come up. Dave, I don't know. Did you want to come up to... come on. And if anybody else wants to come up, then yeah.
We're not scary. We don't bite.
It's just a conversation.
Oh my.
Pardon? Okay.
All right, so go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, guys. My name is Dave, also known as Young Dave Bangin. I am the co-founder of a company called Narajama. It's a clothing brand, me and Saifon. I'm also a community activist. We have a non-for-profit called Never Gonna Stop Community Center for the Arts. I also have another non-for-profit called Dave Olingisi Sickle Cell Foundation because some of you may not know, I know some of you do know, I was born with a disease called sickle cell anemia, so I opened a foundation to help other youth and people with sickle cell. So that's who I am.
All right. Well, welcome, Dave. Thanks for
Thank you.
stopping by. We appreciate you being here.
I appreciate you guys having me.
All right, cool. So this is kind of a space where if you wanted to sort of, talk about something or you have like a scenario or anything, the mic is yours and then we kind of just discuss it.
Okay. So I have to ask a question?
Yeah. Or if you have something that you wanted to talk about. Like I think before you were sort of saying about friendships with the opposite sex and...
Yeah, I was just saying, like, usually I want to ask you guys your opinion about what do you guys think about your partner having a best friend that's the same sex as you? Best friends, not just friends. Best friends, like they're like locked in, What do you guys feel about that?
Do you want to go? Okay. I feel like it depends. And my partner has a few different best friends, one of which is also a girl. I'm like, you know what? I trust him. And I've met her once, twice, maybe. I've been with him for like a year and a half, so I haven't actually met her that much. But I do trust him, and I'm the type of person that I hang out with my friends one-on-one. I love my quality time with my friends, including my guy friends. I will go out and hang out one-on-one with them, and I also try and encourage him to do the same. I was go hang out with her or go hang out with him. Go do your things, even if we're trying to make plans. And he's like, hey, I might go see with my friends. I'm like, hey, you don't do that enough. Go.
Yeah.
I'll go talk to my friends. I'll have a night alone, whatever it is. But I think that we shouldn't necessarily stop people from being best friends with someone just because of their gender. I honestly think it's just because you're I don't know, a guy and a girl doesn't mean that you're automatically something's gonna happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also people have different sexualities, maybe they're already in a relationship with someone else. I just don't think we can assume that something's gonna happen. I think you really should be honest and if you're hey, I've never had the situation, I wanna be able to be okay with this, but I'm feeling insecure, I need some reassurance. Your partner needs to be honest with you and upfront about how that relationship dynamic is and give you the reassurance and stuff and be there to support you as you work through it, but you also have to want to do that, right? Mm-hmm. Can't force someone to work through something they don't want to work through. Mm-hmm. So I feel it's hard because it can be super stressful when you're all these what ifs and who knows, right? Mm-hmm. But I think you really need to trust yourself and trust your partner and yeah, I think there's some lines, but I think it depends. How does your partner act with all their other friends? Mm-hmm. How is it their only if it was my partner's only female friend, I'd probably be might feel a little bit more of a type of way about that one. But he has a few female friends and a few guy friends, right? So I think it really depends.
So you said that if he has one girl best friend, but he doesn't have other one girl.
Yeah,
let's say
friends are guys.
And he has one single
who they are on the phone constantly. I would probably feel a type of way about that.
Now my question is, why? What if he just didn't have that experience of having a lot of women friends, and it just so happened that when he grew up, he had that one girl best friend, and then all the rest of his friends are guys?
I feel it depends, literally, because you were saying even about you having guy friends since you were little, right?
Yeah.
I think like maybe she's like family, right? Like I honestly think it does.
It also
depend.
depends, like, has the family met her? Like, how close are you guys? Like, you guys
Yeah,
just,
like,
like,
how
bonding?
integrated-
They're mad close.
Also,
Best
how does she
friends.
act
I'm
with
telling you,
you?
locked in.
How does she
Like-
act with you though? Like, is she like, oh my gosh, like let's be friends, or
Yeah.
is she like kind of?
No, she's like,
Oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
no. She's like, we're best friends, so they're locked in. It's just a best friend relationship.
No, but how
you know
does
what
she
I mean?
treat you as the girlfriend?
yeah.
That matters.
No, she doesn't treat me as a girlfriend or anything. She's my
No,
best
no.
friend.
Okay, so you have a female best friend.
Yes.
You have a girlfriend. How does your female friend and your girlfriend get along?
How does my female best friend and my girlfriend get
Yeah.
along?
Yes.
How do they
Do they
interact?
talk?
Because,
at all?
okay, they talk normally. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to build their own relationship.
How does she talk to you?
How does she, my best friend or my girlfriend? My girlfriend, that's my girl, that's my baby. You know what I mean? That's my heart. So I'm with her, I'm chopping it up. We do boyfriend and girlfriend stuff. My best friend, we do best friend stuff. I might talk about my problems with my girlfriend. I might talk about me being sick, how I feel. Maybe we're gonna talk about whatever we connect with. You know what I mean?
It just depends on how your girlfriend feels on your best friend. Like, how she sees you guys. Like, if she says, you guys are, like, kind of, like, flirty or, like, talky or whatever the case may be.
But what if it's this is the issue I feel like. What if it's not flirty, but we just have a deep relationship? Like we have a deep connection because we've been best friends ever since we were young.
That's really, really hard. Because, like,
Really is.
No, because I've been in these situations. And, like, it's really tough because, like, I had, like, a really close guy friend. And we were, like, we would talk about a lot of stuff. And, like, I think I've been intentional to be like, okay, like, you should be going to your partner first over that friend when it comes to, like, deep issues, right? Like, you should want to prioritize and foster your relationship, like, because you've already have an established friendship. That doesn't mean, like, again, ignore them, you need a balance, but, like, for me, like, if I'm having, like, a rough time, like, mental health wise, like, I need to choose to go to my partner over my friends first so that we can start building that first. And if he's not around, then, like, I can go to my friends. Or if it's like, hey, I just, like, I'm not quite there yet in terms of talking to my partner about something that's like this, but I've gone to you in the past before, I'm going to go to you this time. But, like, you need to kind of have that balance and make sure that, like, you're not going to your friend for those deep things 100% of the time or, like, 90% of the time over your partner.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, regardless of gender,
Yeah.
it's important if you have issues within your relationship that you speak to your partner first.
First, yeah.
Not that because when you start speaking to your friends about all of these issues within your relationship, and we kind of talked
we
about
talked
this
about it.
earlier, it then clouds the way that your
Friends look
Relationship.
friends look at your partner. And then also too, again, you're coming to your friends when you're vexed, but most of the time maybe you're not. So then your friends get this idea of this
building
person,
that image of is that bad?
right?
Yeah.
When
I get
it's
what you're
not that.
saying.
So regardless of gender, I would say always important. If any issues going on within your relationship, you're dating, talk to that person first before you then start
100%. Now this is my
talking
thing.
to everybody else.
This is my thing, right? Me personally. I never said I'm going to my friends first, right? I never said that because my girl, that's the number one. That's who I'm building with. Because me personally, I date to marry. I don't just date for fun because I feel like that's a waste of time. That's just me personally, right? So of course I'm gonna go to my partner when it comes to everything, right? I'm gonna go to her first, how I feel, my emotions, blah 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 blah. But what I'm trying to say is this: if I have a deep connection with, let's just say I have a girl best friend and we have just a deep connection, you know, that's why I asked you guys, how would you guys feel? Now, I'm not necessarily going to her, to my girl best friend and saying, oh yeah, my girlfriend, da-da-da, she vexed me, da-da-da, because that's gonna affect how they look at my girl. And I don't want my girl to feel like that. Like, and I don't want my best friend and my girl to have an issue. You know?
Yeah.
I want them to be like in unison, you know? Me, I'm a family person, right? So I love having that relationship where we have that togetherness, you know? Like I want my girlfriend or my wife and my girl best friend, I want them to be best friends, you know?
But
think-
yeah,
That's me
I
personally.
think that kind of matters too, in the sense of like, obviously, like, yeah, you don't want to be going to like your friends too much or like without balanced perspective because
Yeah.
like you don't want to isolate, make your girlfriend feel isolated, like, oh, she doesn't like me anymore or whatever. But I think that like, I think it kind of depends on the relationship dynamics. Like if they're getting like close and they're going to be friends, like I don't think that there's a problem then, right? Like I think it's more about how they interact and how they feel. But if, you know, obviously it doesn't seem to apply to the situation, but if there's like your girl best friend's like trying to being like standoffish or kind of be more protective or like I know him better or like be a bit weird with your girlfriend, that's not going to make her feel very good. That's kind of become a problem.
See, and that's
like,
the issue that we as men, we have. Because there's a lot of, at least when it comes to women, I would say, there's a lot of insecurities, you know?
But
And-
everyone's insecure.
But
That's not a
Yeah.
No, I would say I'm not insecure, me personally.
no,
when it
but,
comes to relationship.
But Dave, I don't think.
I'm being honest. I'm being honest and
But
open.
for example, my
Correct.
partner like does feel insecure about one of my guy friends, right?
Yeah,
And
that makes sense.
right, and
you
that's
know?
fine. But like,
Why
we
does it make sense?
Why does
Yes.
it make sense?
Yeah, why does it make sense?
Well, listen.
Yeah.
Listen. The reason why I say it makes sense for both gender, it makes sense. Why? I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you exactly why. Because they have the fear of losing you. You know, they have this fear like, oh my gosh, what if? Oh my gosh, they're bonding. What if they're not bonding like that with me? Oh my gosh, look how they're so close. Why are we not that close? What if something happens and then they're gonna
So
go
do
over
you
there?
feel like your girlfriend feels like that then?
Pardon?
Do you feel like your girlfriend feels like that with your best
It
friend?
depends. She can't feel like that, you know? At the moment, I don't have a girlfriend. But I'm just saying, you know, because I've been in relationships before.
I think it depends. Like for me,
Yeah.
like I'm very close with my guy friends. I love really like emotionally deep, like intellectually stimulating like friendships. Like I'm in social work. I love having conversations, philosophical debates, whatever. But like we don't like me and my friends have kind of been like no topic is generally taboo. Like let's just talk about it, right?
I'm like that too.
And I think like for this specific guy friend that like my partner is like kind of been like sometimes he's just like, oh, I don't know. Like I just like, okay, like what can we do? But I'm not gonna not be his friend.
I have a question. How do you feel about that?
Like they're
Genuinely.
I mean, I've had like we all went to Caravana together, like we'd be chilling. Like they get along, right? And I
have
think
a
it's
question
more
after.
like he's kind of been like, okay, like just let me know when you see him in advance. I'm like, okay. So I just tell you when I see him, and like I'll just be like if other people are there or if we're hanging out one-on-one. And he was like, I don't want you going like he just has a hard time with like, are you gonna go to him for like the deeper stuff? Like, and I was like, ideally, if that's what's making you uncomfortable, I obviously care about you and want to give you some reassurance. So yeah, like I'll only go to him if like you're not here and maybe like 2 or 3 other of my friends. Like I can't get a hold of someone else. Like he won't be my default person. He might be someone I go to in certain situations when I can't get anyone else, but he's not going to be the person I go to first and foremost on. Right?
I have a question.
You have to kind of be able to compromise in some things sometimes.
I have a question.
All right, go
Ask away.
Go ahead, Dave.
What if your boyfriend tells you, hey, listen, baby, I don't want you to be friends with him no more?
He's not allowed to tell me that.
Yeah.
Why?
Because that's
He's
controlling.
not allowed to tell me. I told him from the beginning, you can't tell me who to be friends with. You need to be okay with it, or this ain't gonna work. And that's my boundary.
So-
I'm not. You need to figure out in a relationship what you value and what you're willing to compromise and not. If you're not like for me, some people might be like, you know what, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with like losing some friendships. I personally, that's a pretty like that is my boundary. You cannot tell me who I'm going to be friends with or not. And if you do, I'm out. I've told you that. And if you do,
That's
that,
what I was
I'm
gonna.
out.
That's what I was gonna
Like-
ask next. So, if your boyfriend was to wake up one morning and say that the relationship is done,
There's the door.
Yeah.
and I have a question. I have a question though. What if you're married? What if you're married and now it's not your boyfriend, it's your husband? Because I personally feel like there's
No,
a
but
difference. No. I'm being honest.
Would we
I
not
feel
have
like.
those conversations ahead of time.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Didn't get married? Did you not have those conversations ahead of time?
No, but life happens. No. But you gotta understand that life happens and people change. So let's just say in the beginning of the marriage, let's just say the first 5 years, your honeymoon phase, everything is good, la. The 6th year, boom, something changes, and now he's uncomfortable. Something maybe happens in his life, and he's like, nah. So are you going? Now let's just say that 6th year happened, and then he feels like that because it happens. I know some people that have relationship, they've been married for over 40 years. And then one day, the woman cheats or the man cheats.
Okay, cheating's different. That's
Yeah.
hard.
No. I'm just saying.
Done.
No. I know. No. The reason why I brought that up is just to say that people change.
Yeah.
Like
okay,
there's
so let me.
changes that happen. You
Okay,
know?
so I'm gonna rein this back in just in interest of time.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, in a situation like that, if you are in a committed relationship, regardless of whether you're married or not, and you've been together for some time, and both of you are trying to come to sort of consensus on something that you're disagreeing on, then it's a great idea to go to somebody like a counselor to get some like a third opinion or an outside opinion on what is happening. And I think sometimes going to someone who is not necessarily always within your friend group is good, because that person could be
bias.
neutral, right? You don't have somebody, you have somebody that will be listening to both sides of the situation and looking to kind of understand how to sort of see if it can be resolved. And if it can't be resolved, then maybe you do have to go your separate ways. So I would say that. But Dave, thank you very much for coming up, because we are already at like the hour mark and we could continue having this conversation. I want to just give, is there anybody else that wants to ask a question or anything? No? I just want to, before we kind of wrap it up. Okay, so Dave, thanks for coming up.
No problem.
Okay, so again, today I think that we've, talked a lot about balancing friendships and relationships. And, we've kind of spotted some red flags. We've also talked about really good green flags for us to have that kind of help to keep us grounded. So I think too, Kavisha, you had said this earlier, and just for everybody to remember, it's really unfair to expect one person to be able to satisfy or meet all of your needs. So different friendships fulfill different aspects and parts of your life. Friends can definitely be your hype squad. They can, kind of be your truth tellers, people that you can be silly with. And yes, definitely relationships can do the same, but it also offers you another level of like intimacy and romance and sort of like an emotional connection. So I think having both helps you to have like that balance and connection within your life, especially when challenges come up. So just wanting to say that, and I think that we've heard this a lot today, a healthy relationship with your partner does not mean that you are going to give up your friends. It means really trying to have a balance of both. And as we heard Monica and Kavisha say, and also Dave a bit, we're gonna have you back up here. Really make sure that you're always communicating openly and never feel that you have to give up one or the other, that you should be able to have both. So thank you very much for today, guys. This was great. And yeah, we'll be around for another episode.